Hey, what's up, guys? You see Robert Downey Jr. today. Oscar winner, one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood. But you would never guess the chaotic life he lived to get here. We're talking about an addiction that started when he was just 8 years old. A battle that eventually led him to spending nearly a decade cycling in and out of jail. It sounds impossible, but he completely turned his life around. And today, we're diving into his journey to figure out the exact lessons we can all use to conquer our own challenges. RDJ's start wasn't a fairy tale. Both his parents were in the film industry, which sounds like destiny, right? But behind the scenes, both were drug users. They used around him constantly, and heartbreakingly, they introduced him to marijuana when he was only 6. That's why he says his drug addiction officially kicked off at 8. He was picking up roles, appearing in his father's movies, and eventually dropped out of high school to commit to acting full-time. It's wild to think Marvel's Tony Stark was a high school dropout with a massive drug problem, but his upbringing set the stage for years of struggle. Like many people struggling, he was super resistant to help. This brings us to lesson 1. You have to surround yourself with the right people and let them help you. Early on, his manager, Lori Rodkin, put him into rehab because he was a mess. His whole support network was worried sick, not just about his career, but his health. What did Downey do? He was so furious, he fired her the second he got out. It's insane. Later, while he was in prison, his friend Jodie Foster wrote him a powerful letter. She told him to look at his latest success playing Charlie Chaplin, the role that earned him an Oscar nomination, and compare it to the chaos of his actual life. He was dwelling in self-pity, and she reminded him, hey, you powered through the stress of that huge role. You can survive this too. Listening to the advice and criticism from people who respect you, even if it's hard to hear, is absolutely vital for reaching your potential. Not everyone is lucky enough to have that strong support system. And that brings us to lesson 2. You must not harbor resentment. The famous saying, all the things you're holding on to are the same things that are holding you back, perfectly fits RDJ's story. It would have been so easy for him to hate his parents for failing him, for setting him up with a lifelong addiction. But that isn't helpful. If you let every bad memory or every moment of mistreatment eat you alive, your journey to a better future will be so much harder. In the years following his rock-bottom moments, Downey simply refused to be held back by his past. He's famously walked out of interviews when journalists tried to pry into his family's private life. He's spoken positively about the opportunities he was given despite his hardships. And he even created a documentary about his father, claiming it was part of his desire to truly understand him. This refusal to dwell on the past is what allowed him to move forward. Now, let's get into lesson 3. You have to take accountability for your mistakes. Downey spent years doing terrible things to his body and his career, and it would have been simple to blame it all on a bad childhood or the pressures of fame. But after his success with Chaplin, his big fall from grace happened in 1996, when he was arrested for speeding with illegal substances and a weapon. In court, he tried to argue that he was sick, that addiction was forcing him to do these things, but the judge wasn't having it. The judge argued with his lawyers, saying, I don't believe your client is committed to not using drugs. You may call that addiction, but there's some level of choice. By 1999, even the best legal team couldn't keep him out of jail, and he was sentenced to 3 years. He was at rock bottom, even getting so drunk one night that he walked into his neighbor's house and fell asleep on their bed, forcing them to call the police. During this period, he missed countless drug tests, auditions, and rehearsals, getting him fired from major shows like Ally McBeal. He became literally unhireable, effectively blacklisted because no insurance company would bond a production he was part of. They were convinced anything Downey touched was doomed to fail. Part of healing is knowing exactly what you did wrong and where you need to change. In a 2003 interview, he finally said, past a certain point, you need to stand up inside yourself and change. That's the same sentiment the judge tried to tell him years earlier. If you don't recognize your mistakes, you can't learn from them. By critically examining your past, you empower yourself to stop standing in your own way. Talking to Joe Rogan in 2020, Downey explained that one of the most important things he does now is make sure he isn't being his own roadblock. He keeps his mind open, keeps his intentions clear, and uses all the resources he's gathered and the lessons he's learned to keep moving forward in the right niche and direction. Which leads us right to lesson 4. Set your goals and intentions consistently. Setting goals is a huge part of self-improvement, whether they're small, short-term targets for being more productive or lifelong aims that shape who you want to become. Doing this gives your life meaning and purpose. You constantly have something to work towards, so you never find yourself stuck, just standing still. Downey rediscovered his passion for acting when he realized he was fundamentally just a fan of film. So he set every goal in place to keep acting. You can set achievable targets to advance in your job, your relationships, and any area of personal development. Consistency in pursuing your goals actually helps improve every other part of your life, including your relationships. Talking about his marriage, Downey said he strives to be consistent because it shows he can be trustworthy, which gives both him and his partner the freedom to explore their lives together and apart. Finally, we have Lesson 5. Read up on leadership. If you want to better yourself and become a stronger, more resilient person, there are hundreds of amazing books out there to help you. Downey has specifically spoken about how the book The Tao of Leadership helped shape how he deals with people and events in his life. He said that great leadership involves being conscious in the moment and being flexible with where you go, but staying firmly rooted in your core principle of what you do. This whole message links back perfectly to setting goals and keeping consistent. It's a concept that shows up in so many great self-improvement resources. We hope you enjoyed this look at Robert Downey Jr.'s journey. If you have any ideas for other actors or characters whose journey you'd like us to explore next, drop us a comment below.